All right, this is on chapter 11, the Pluperfect and Future Perfect Indicative Active, both of which are pretty easy tenses. So let us begin with our opening prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. All right. What I wanted to do is finish up some leftovers from last time. So I took the words we had in the from the translation we were working on for the St. Michael prayer and kind of put it together and did a little bit of massaging. So you can see that what we had was St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle against the wickedness and snares of the devil. Well, pretty close to the English. Be a protection. May God command that one or him we beseechingly pray or beg, and thou, Prince of the heavenly host or army, as you prefer, Satan and all the other spirits who for the perdition of souls wander the earth by divine power thrust into hell. So you can see the English is that we recite is close to this. You know, why isn't it exactly the same? Well, I don't, how many, well, Teresa, you were there at Monsignor's homily last Sunday. I don't think maybe the other people were. The thing is, there's an art to translation. Okay. Now, actually going back, this is a perfectly good translation that you might write for yourself. Okay. Because as you read the Latin, I mean, that's a pretty good mapping of what the Latin says. And I think you can understand it from the grammar and stuff as you're reading the Latin. But as I said, there is an art to translation. Latin word order is flexible. English is not. So you have to have you're often faced with reordering things in order to make the sensible English. Latin has case and gender to keep things straight. That's part of the flexible word order. English does not. So there are places where you will need to even break sentences up. So an excessively literal translation can come across as very stilted, whereas the Latin is very flowing. And this detracts from the beauty of the Latin. So good translators will often wordsmith the English to bring out the Latin better without excessive recourse to words and structures that are not in the original Latin. And again, I said good translators. There are some that stick all sorts of stuff in there or omit all sorts of stuff in there. But it requires an artistic flair and prudence. And I thought we would go through one of those just to kind of see what it looks like. And even in the prayer of St. Michael, the versions, the English versions that appear over time have changed. From the 1934 Father Lassance's Missal, he goes, Holy Michael, Archangel, defend us in the day of battle. Be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the wicked spirits who wander about through the world for the ruin of souls. That gets, other than maybe switching from holy to saint, which is, I prefer holy over saint, although it's the same thing. That is a very literal translation, okay? I mean, that follows the Latin very closely. And then in the 57 Raccolta, We see thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world for the ruin of souls. This is where we see the prowling about for the ruin of souls, which is not the literal form. And then, of course, the 1959 St. Joseph Missal, which was updated in 1964. We go back to the Holy Michael, the archangel. Defend us in battle, be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And you, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who wander through the world seeking the ruin of souls. So you can see that evolution in the English, and hopefully, having looked at the Latin, you can understand some of the choices there. So anyway, my advice: learn Latin so you don't need to rely exclusively on translations. Memorize the Latin versions of the prayer and liturgy. You're actually better off for that. I generally do not remember the English versions, especially of the Novus Ordo Mass, because it's gone through several revisions. I generally stick with even the Creed. I've always stuck with the Latin. And don't bother with the English if you can. Don't bother with the English translations unless it's absolutely necessary. If you need to clarify it, because that's my advice. Take it or leave it.
Michael, may I share something that
Sure.
I heard in an interview?
Sure.
Do you know who Jesse Romero is?
Who?
Jesse Romero. He is. He's worked with exorcisms and stuff quite frequently. He has Radio Virgin something, or he has like a radio channel. He runs this stuff anyway. Big spiritual warrior. Okay, but he tells a story. One time he was helping with an exorcism, and it was a lady, and the priest was having him and some other men that were there to hold her down during the exorcism, when she got pretty violent, or the spirit within her did.
Yeah.
And he said they were running through all the prayers and nothing was working until they hit the Hail Mary in Latin. And as soon as they started praying that, then he could tell it was having an effect. Hail Mary in English didn't do anything, but Hail Mary in Latin really ticked off this demon. And so the priest is like, keep doing it. So they kept praying the Hail Mary in Latin over and over and over again. And then the demon started saying, get her off of me. He said the lady actually squashed out flat. It was like, no human would be able to survive. It was like she was actually getting pressed and flattened out. And it was like, it was freaking him out. And the demon's like, get her off of me, get her off of me. And then they knew it was over because obviously Mary had entered. And pretty soon the demon was gone and she was healed. But it wasn't until they started praying the Hail Mary in Latin that the demon started to have any kind of, started having any effect on them.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Learn Latin prayers.
I have heard that from, who's the, he's the main Italian exorcist.
Oh,
Emera. Yeah.
Emma. Yeah.
Yeah. That the demons hate Latin. I can't say as I have any experience in that matter, fortunately, and knock on wood. But I just find the Latin simply prettier. It's a personal choice. And also, especially, depending upon how old you are, we've gone through several variations of the liturgy, even the Novus Ordo liturgy, and the Creed and this, that, and the other thing. And I just find it easier to stay with the Latin. And if I'm at a English mass, or a mass that is in English, i.e., then I will often open up my hand missal and for the public prayers that I have to recite and read along, because otherwise I probably will not follow the English terribly well. There were things in the Gloria they did, and there were things in the Creed that they did that, were not terribly literal. So anyway.
I put this in the chat that I've had to explain to people who only go to English masses that no, they didn't change the Latin. So I didn't have to learn any of the new wording. The like 5 times I remember they've changed
Yes.
the credo and some of the other ones. They only fiddle with the English translation. And generally in recent years, it's improved vastly, even if it's been awkward wording in English, but accurate. However, I've had to explain to people that the reason I don't know the new wording is I don't need to know the new wording because the Latin didn't change.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think the English, I don't think the recent English translation had been awkward. They have used some big words, like consubstantial, and places like that. So I think they've done a pretty good job in smoothing it out.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, but it's not normal English usage.
This is true. There are a lot of words in Latin and the liturgy that have vanished from English. At
least they provided an accurate translation,
yes.
Even if it's not.
Well, and that's often been my feeling is if you're going to use a theological term like consubstantial, then you probably ought to explain it to the laity. Use it, but explain it. And English has no and you know this as well, Jen, that English has no common word for long patient suffering. We had one long ago called longanimity.
Yes, I have a Russian friend who has always said that there are like 6 or 7 different words in Russian for patient long suffering, but there are none in English. That tells you about our culture.
Yeah, it does. It does. And there are, I mean, they're in there, but they're shall we say, they're not in common use anymore. Yeah, they're not in common use anymore. Anyway, so with that, let's move on. On to a unit 11. All right. So we saw how the perfect tense last time meant the action was completed in the past. In English, we would probably just call it the past tense. Okay. The pluperfect, which was what we're doing tonight, is rather amusing because it means even more than perfect. Perfect here meaning complete, done, finished, or past. So you might even translate this as the past. And what we mean by that is verbs in the pluperfect mean the action occurred before the main event, which is kind of the basis for the clause, which again also occurred in the past. So in other words, we're talking about something in the past, and then we talk about something that occurred before that past action, or the past. And I'll give you some more. We'll go into some detail in 2 charts here in a minute. But the example is I had ran to the store before the hurricane came.
Run.
I had run to the store. Ran. I had run.
I had run.
Oh, darn it. Okay. I put that in there just for Alex's.
We get what we pay for, right?
Pardon?
We get what we pay for.
Yeah. Anyway, I had run to the store before the hurricane came. So in other words, the hurricane came here, kind of sets the period of time we're talking about. And you wanted to say that, hey, I had been to the store before that. So that's why you say I had run or I had been to the store before the hurricane came. That probably would even be better. Likewise, the future perfect refers to the so-called future past. So like the pluperfect or the past past. Verbs in the future perfect mean the action occurred before the main event mentioned, which is also in the future. So we could say, I will have gone to the store before the hurricane will arrive. So we're talking about something in the future, the hurricane that will arrive. And you're saying that before that hurricane has arrived, you will have gone to the store. So, and yeah, the pluperfect is short for plus quam perfectum. So plus means more, quam
Hey,
than,
Michael,
yeah.
On the previous slide, so you say before the hurricane will arrive. Is there a difference in the will arrive or before the hurricane arrives?
No.
Okay.
Before the hurricane arrives, English being the wonderful language, having developed from Norman conquerors making passes at Saxon barmaids. If I were to say, what is the future tense of arrive, you would say will arrive. Okay. That's why I stuck it in there. But before the hurricane arrives, since we have the before in there, that is understood in English as being in the future. And I debated whether to say before arrives or what. In fact, you'll see some of my examples later on where I struggled with that a little bit. But no, essentially it's the same.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. So as I said, the pluperfect, plus quam perfectum, Latin for even more than perfect. As I said, think of it as the past. So you have something that occurred in the past and you're talking to about the event before that. And so in English, I had run. Oh, I had it right there. Okay. I had run to the store before the hurricane came. Or I could even say I had run to the store before the hurricane. The before there being setting the time. So the past event providing the reference time is when the hurricane came or when the hurricane arrived. The run to the store was before the hurricane. So it's the past. So the past event.
So you have a thing where there's the hurricane. Yes. And since run to the store happened before that, you are looking at it as if it was the past.
Yes, the past, so to speak.
Kind of like a number line where 0 is where the hurricane came and -1 is where you ran to the store. Yes,
exactly. And I have a chart here in the not the next slide because we're going to do the future perfect, and then I have a chart which hopefully will clarify this. But the thing is, in English, it's generally had plus the verb. I had run, I had seen, I had gone to mass before the game, or whatever. But generally, if you have a had in there with the verb, that's in English, that really means that's the equivalent of the pluperfect in Latin. So future perfect, same idea, but it deals with events in the future. Again, you can think of it as the future past. So you're talking about some action in the future, but the other action is in the past relative to the future event. So in English, we will say will have, as in I will have done my homework, I will have run to the store, I will have whatever. So the example is, I will have done my homework before the next class. So what's the reference time? The next class. And then the homework will get done before the upcoming class, so it's in the future past. i.e. you did that before you came to class. So it's the future past or the or the futures or the future perfect as it is referred to. Here's kind of a chart which hopefully kind of explains it, I hope. We have the present. So if the verb is to run, I run or I am. Well, okay. Other than that NG, I'll have to fix that. Well, you still pronounce that running, right? So I run, I am running. That's the present. If you're going to express something in the future, you will say, I will run. I will run to the store. I will go to church. I will eat my vegetables, whatever. And then the perfect, which is the past, would be I ran to the store, or I have run to the store. We can express the past either way. And then we have the imperfect, the I was running, which we had before. Problem with the imperfect is it's indeterminate. It can occur long ago or right up to now, okay? But the perfect is I ran, it occurred before now, and then the pluperfect would be even before it, I had run. So I'm going to label that as the past. Future is the same way. I said, I will run, that's in the future, but in the past future is I will have run. And the good news is if you see I will have done something, that's future perfect. And if it is I had done something, that is pluperfect. So it shouldn't be too difficult.
So theoretically, you could call the future perfect the future and then call the future future.
Yeah, okay, yes. Yeah, you could. The only reason we tend to call it the past future is because the perfect in there is okay. The word perfection means it is complete. So when we say that it is the perfect tense, it means the action has been completed. So, but yes, you can certainly think of it as the future.
Or finished,
Or-
basically.
Yeah. So I got an example here. I struggled with this. I had run to the store before I ran home while I was listening to the radio about the hurricane that will arrive Tuesday and will have caused everyone to evacuate. That has all the tenses in
That's
there,
hysterical.
except the present, by the way. So I had run. The pluperfect. This is, I went to the store before I did anything. The perfect. And then I ran home, but I did it before now. I was listening, meaning a past continuing action of indefinite duration. Will arrive. It's the hurricane that is in the farthest point in the future. And then will have caused is the future perfect, meaning
And then you
before
could
the
add
hurricane
to
arrives, let's hope everybody has evacuated that needs to. I mean, not everybody needs to evacuate. So.
Then you could add to that, but currently I am in my house.
This is true. I could have added a present. I thought about it, but I thought that'd be too much. But yeah. So again, they're not that hard because I had run. Well, there's the had, pluperfect. I will arrive. That's the future. I will have caused. That's the future perfect. So it's not too hard to keep them straight. So any questions there on what they are? Yeah, we all live on the Gulf Coast pretty much, Teresa. So, all right. So now we need to step back for a moment to an earlier lesson and review the verb forms or the forms of the verb to be. And the reason is the this form and this form are all over the pluperfect and the future perfect. So if you remember, I said memorize these because first off, we kind of get the endings, es, est, sumus, estis, sunt, and eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant, and then ero, eris, erit. And these are like the future endings, and these are like the present, close to the present endings. And these, of course, are close to the imperfect and the perfect endings. So with those in mind, the pluperfect tense in Latin is pretty easy. Generally, the imperfect is considered the simplest because it's regular across all the forms. But a good second place might be the pluperfect, because we're going to take the perfect form and drop the final I. So instead of laudavi, it's just laudav. And then we add the past tense of the verb to be, okay? So as I said, back here it was eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. So you're going to say laudav eram, laudav eras, laudav erat, laudav eramus, laudav eratus, laudav erant. So you see them right there. So that is real easy. And this is true of all 4 conjugations. So it's a really easy, comparatively easy form to remember. The trick, of course, is you have to remember what the perfect form is. So again, harking back to when I said memorize all 4 forms of the verb, which is typically the first person singular, the infinitive, the perfect form, and then the perfect participle, which is at the end. And we'll get to that. I think it's next unit or unit after. I forget which. But we're getting there. So laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus, to praise, to laud. So there's our perfect stem. So laudav plus the past tense of the verb to be. So let's try and all read through this together. We'll see how well this works. So laudaveram, I had praised. Laudaveras, thou hadst praised. Laudaverat, he, she, it had praised. Laudaveramus, we had praised. Laudaveratus, you had praised. Laudaverant, they had praised. So again,
Quick
perfect.
question. I was just noticed, not necessarily literally to do exactly with the cases, but I've been noticing in Latin, Latin doesn't tend to have consonant clusters, does it? You know how English has words like strength, angst,
Yeah.
and things like that. It doesn't tend to have that very much, does it?
No,
See-
it does not. And furthermore, not only, and strength is a good example, not only do we have a consonant cluster there, but then we kind of mangle the sounds. Or mangle is, no, that's not what I want to say. We shift the sounds around in those consonant clusters. No, that's very unusual. Very
Yeah, the only consonant cluster I can see is common is the NTs, like in
Yes.
rant. Those
Right.
are fun, but like that's just like one. That's just like 2 consonants.
Yeah. Well, there are places where there are 2 consonants together. Okay. Going back.
Just rarely more than that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think there's any more than that at all.
Hmm.
Let's see. Did I throw up here? No. Okay, I didn't put in the Latin. But Saint Michael, Sanctus, Sanctus. That's the longest that I'm aware of. And you put the sank together, and then the tus is separate. So even when we do have consonant clusters, we separate them out in
Right.
Latin. So yeah, I would say no. The answer is no, we really don't have those consonant clusters, at least not like English does.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, next one. Moneo, monera, monui, monitus, to warn, to advise. Same thing. We take that perfect stem, monu. We do not need the I because we're going to add the endings unique. So let's go through them together. Manueram, I had warned. Manueras, thou hast warned. Manuerat, he, she, it had warned. Manueramus, we had warned. Manueratus, you had warned. Manuerant, they had warned. Now notice that the other tenses, that erant becomes an erunt with a U. And that's how you can tell this is in the pluperfect as opposed to the other ones. And that's true, by the way, of them all. Duco, ducere, duxi, ductus, third conjugation, very same rule. Dux in this case, so duxeram, I had led. Duxeras, thou hast led. Duxerat, he, she, it had led. Duxeramus, we had led. Duxeratus, you had led. Duxerant, they had led. So, capio, third conjugation with io verbs. Again, exact same pattern. You just have to take the perfect stem, chip or chepi, chep, drop the I. Cheperam, I had taken. Cheperas, thou hast taken. Cheperat, he, she, it has taken. Cheperamus, we had taken. Cheperatus, you had taken. And cheperant, they had taken. And I guess I should mention something here. This is short and the E is short. So the accent is cheperam, cheperas, cheperat, and cheperant. When we get to the eramus and the eratus, then this vowel is long. That is the second to the end, and the accent shifts to cheperamus, cheperatus versus cheperant. Okay, so it's a little tricky there to get the pronunciation. And this is true, by the way, of all of them. Duxeramus, there's the accent, versus duxerant. So, audio, our favorite verb. For the fourth conjugation, audivi, so audiv, or audiv, I should say, that's a long I. Audiveram, audiveras, audiverat. This is not accented because you do not accent the last syllable ever in Latin. Audiveramus, audiveratus, audiverant. So we had heard, you had heard, they had heard. So you can see had is the tip off in English anyway, as to what you want there. So this is a nice summary of the whole table. So yeah, laudavi. Do we actually say diverant? As in audiverant? Yes, audiverant. Yes, as in long E. A long I is a long E sound in English. So when we said audio, audire, audivi, and auditus. What's kind of interesting is in English, the E and the I have swapped places. If you go to most of the Romance languages, and in fact, when you're saying the alphabet in English, we say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. They will swap the sounds for the I and the E. This occurred, I think it was the Might have been the 12th century. Look up.
Well, it could have been part of the Great Vowel Shift.
Yeah,
because
the
that would have
Great
been the
Vowel Shift.
1600s.
Was it 1600s? Okay. I may
Yeah,
be off a
around
little.
the time of
well, I was
Shakespeare.
wondering about
It was
that
like
'cause
just before Shakespeare, so it was like 1600s.
Yeah.
I was wondering about this because you have said before that in most cases, a long vowel is not a different sound. It is a longer sound, like,
Well, depends on the vowel. You didn't read the
Okay.
footnote. You're right. For a long a short a in Latin is ah. A long a in Latin is ah. Okay.
yeah, that's what I
So
meant.
that
You know-
is essentially stretched out. Okay.
Yeah, one. Oh, I was just gonna mention when I was looking at some stuff about like how to create like your own little language, and it's talking about like how to Romanize anything. It's like, well, okay, usually you would think that so to make a long versus short vowel distinction, it would make sense to just double the vowel.
Yeah.
But the problem is English. Two E's is not pronounced A, but it's pronounced E. Or two O's are not pronounced O, but ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem is English had about 40 sounds versus Latin's 24 plus. I mean, some of the vowels were a little bit different. So yeah, if you go back to the first lesson where I talked about pronunciation, you will see that it depends on, well, in fact, let me go ahead and bring it up. We got time. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, here it is. All right. Okay, where is it? Oops, I know I had it in here someplace. Ah, there it is. Okay. Yeah, here, let me go ahead and bring this up on the whoop. Here we go. There. There we go. All right, we'll switch. So the A, the short A is an ah, and the long A is an ah, stretched out. So dina, father. Okay. So a short A is an ah, and a long A is an ah. But that's not true of all the vowels. The short E is like get, pet, or set. The long E is, as I said, it's a bit tricky. You're right, it is actually kind of an extension of the short E. But it ends up coming like a long A in date, or the E in they. But they is AE is actually a diphthong. So you got to just hit the A in there. It's kind of hard to do that. But the short I is fit, pit, sit. And then the long I is like machine. Okay. So a short I would be it, whereas a long I is E as in we. Okay. So that one really does have a different sound. As I said, unlike A and E, which are close, I really does have a different sound. O is short O. Let's see, what's the word? Like off or soft or loft, whereas a long O is more like no or note, much like the long O in English. So we kind of get that one for free. And then the U, the short U is an put. Well, actually, I guess that should be hut. Put or hold on, put or mutt. That should be two T, shouldn't it? And then the long U is more like an oo, tuba or rude. So not all of them map very nicely into simply a longer sound. There are some people that will strive to do that, but that's not really the way we do it in the in ecclesiastical Latin. We distinguish. And the other thing I should emphasize is we're also English speakers. So, you know, some of our vowels have, I guess Jenny, did you, okay, she got booted. Some of our vowels we have hard times with the sounds. So we definitely speak our Latin with a English accent. Let's see, so where was I? Ah, here it is, yes. So audiverunt, oops, I jumped ahead, sorry. Where are we? There we go, sorry. Audiverant, okay. Now, future perfect is virtually identical, okay. It's, you take that perfect form, you drop the final I. But what we do is we take the future tense of the verb to be. So ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erint. And we stick it on to the verb, onto the root there. Now, erunt is actually, let's go back here. Erunt is they will be, okay. But for the purposes of these endings, it is erint with an I, which is kind of nice because that means they're all I's across the board. So, so you do have one little wrinkle in there. But again, same idea. Laudo, laudari, laudavi, laudatus. We take the laudav, and then we add the future tense. So let's recite this together. Laudavero, I will have praised. Laudaveris, thou shalt have praised. Laudaverit, he, she, it will have praised. Laudaverimus, we will have praised. Laudaveritis, you will have praised. Laudaverint, they will have praised. And the fun, tricky part here is 1, 2, 3. So the accent is actually on the E for these guys, or well, for the erimus and the eritis. So it should be laudaverimus, laudaveritis. Try not to make those long E's. Try not to say laudaverimus. It's a short E. So laudaverimus, laudaverimus. It's tempting to make all those vowels long, but try not to. Okay, moneo, again, monu plus the future tense. So monuero, monueris, monuerit, monuerimus, monueritis, monuerint. They will have warned. Duco, duxi. So duxero, duxeris, duxerit. Duxerimus, duxeritis, duxerint. They will have led. And then capio, so chepi. Notice ka, the hard C before the A, hard C before the A, but a soft C before the E, the long E, and then captus. So capio, capara, chepi, captus. Now, actually, in classical Latin, it will be capio, capara, capi. In classical Latin, all C's are hard, so probably makes a little more sense there to see the similar structure. But in ecclesiastical,
you mean except the ones who aren't, like
no. In classical Latin,
yes,
all
that's right.
C's are hard.
That's right. They would say Kalo.
Yeah, or Cato. Yeah, they wouldn't say Caesar. Well, okay, actually Caesar is an interesting word. They would not say Caesar.
So
They
it'd
would have
actually be
made the
closer to like
C.
the German.
Yes,
It almost be
exactly. They
closer
would
to
have made the C
Kaiser.
hard. So Kesar, but the AE was an I sound, or an English I sound. So it would have been Kaiser, Kaiser. So
So it
essentially,
would have been almost identical to the Kaiser.
yeah, the
in
Kaiser. Yeah.
German.
I mean, let's face it, the Germans stole it directly and unashamedly. They spelled it differently though. So we'll give them credit for that. So anyway, let's see, where were we? Chepero, I
Would have
was.
been a real mess if they had spelt it the same.
Uh, uh, it would have been interesting. Cheperis, thou shalt have taken. Cheperit, he, she, it will have taken. Cheperimus, Cheperimus, I got to make sure I keep that short I. We will have taken. Cheperitus, you will have taken. And cheperint, they will have taken. Audio, Audi, we take the Audi, drop the I, same for both. Audivero, audiveris, audiverit, audiverimus, audiveritis, audiverint. Okay. And so here's the table. And as I said, you add the erint and not the erant. So you just have to pay attention there. So any questions on either of those? All right.
So
Oh,
you
go
wouldn't
ahead.
say, so you wouldn't say cheperimus, like you, normally it would be on the second syllable. Would
Yeah.
you actually say cheperimus?
Yeah. Often this, okay, in other forms, okay, like the imperfect form. All right, let's go back here. See, in the perfect form, we would say copiebamus, and that vowel there would be long. But for the future tense, let me go all the way back. There we go. These are all short. Okay. Likewise, these are all short as well. So when you stick them on the words, yeah, you end up, whoops, yeah, you end up with the, you count the vowels up, 1, 2, 3. So the accent on these two guys are on the E. The accent on this guy is the third, and the accent here is on the third. Again, the rule is, okay, you look at the last vowel, you ignore it for the accent. You go to the vowel before that. If that vowel is long, as it is in a lot of the imperfect endings, then that's where the stress goes. If it's not long, then the stress goes on the vowel in front of it. So this is this vowel here. So cheperimus. And the natural tendency in English is whenever we stress a vowel, we tend to make it long. So we tend to say things like cheperimus or erimus, but you don't want to try to do that. Just say cheperimus. So.
Okay, so the accent isn't actually on the first vowel, it's on the second, but you have
For
to make
these,
sure
yeah,
you
for
keep
these
both
two
of them
guys.
short.
Yeah, for these two guys. I didn't put the, it's a bit of a pain to put accents here. Let's see if I can do
Because
this.
that's really where it should have been, except not long.
Yes, let's see if I can, oh, let's see if I can find, there it is. Yeah, there we go. I can sneak those in here. There.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
where the
that makes
accent
sense.
goes on those two. The others, it
It's
all,
clearly short.
yeah, it is a short vowel. Yeah. So, and if you're singing it, you tend to make it long. So, you know, you get into the potato discussion. depending upon whether, but you should try and make it short.
And that makes sense to me because I was in choir for so long.
Yeah. So, all right. I think that's, yeah, there we go. Any more questions on the future perfect or the pluperfect? All right. Let's see what I put here. All right. The ablative of cause. I know one of these days I'm going to say ablative because I'm thinking of heat shields on the Orion, but ablative. In fact, I guess it does make a difference whether you say ablative or ablative.
Yeah, ablative means they're slow little bits are slowly burning off, leaving the
Yeah,
underneath
actually,
preserved.
in the dictionary, if they actually
Yeah, it means to peel off a layer, leaving the next layer perfect.
ablate. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Ablative. Whoops, it'd be nice if I spelled it right when I typed it in. There we go. Grammar. Oh, interesting. Ablative. Oh, they didn't even have. Oh, well, I guess actually ablative is not a word. It's ablate or ablation. But anyway, the ablative, with or without a preposition, may be used to express the cause of an action or state. So if we say, Beati sumus e victoria Domini, we are happy because of the victory of the Lord. That's really the way you would translate that is good English. What it literally means is we are happy from, if you remember, x, from, or so we are happy from the victory of the Lord, or we are happy about the victory of the Lord. You can do either one. You can either keep that preposition and not just but whatever preposition you need, or not. Now, again, the ablative shows the means or cause or how the verb was carried out. So you can read this mentally is we are happy by means of the victory of the Lord. Now, don't translate it that way for somebody because that's terrible. But if you're reading along and you're attempting to absorb it directly into your brain cells, it's perfectly okay to think of it that way.
It's not really terrible at all.
No, well,
It makes sense.
it does. Okay, first off, yes, it makes sense. When I say terrible, I don't mean terrible in that it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you don't say it that way. We would put it because, or
People will look at you funny.
yeah, people will look at you funny. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Yes. So, but if you're reading it along, yeah, that's what I typically do. When I read this, I will say mentally, Beati sumus. I'm not going to say blessed are we, or we are happy, or I don't translate it into English. I just say Beati, subject, mentally. Again, I don't think subject. Sumus, Victoria Domini. So mentally, I'm kind of the process I'm going through in Latin is Beati sumus, and this is ablative, so I know that means we are happy by means of the victory of the Lord. So I'm struggling a bit to explain that. I don't recommend you translate, or let me rephrase that. If you are going to get proficient, you need to say Beati, and your mother or your mind says blessed or happy immediately. You don't say the English word, you go to the concept of beati, beatus, or dominus. I don't have to say in my mind, Lord, whenever I say dominus. I say, it's like synonyms. Okay, for example, if I say dog, everybody thinks of a dog. If I say the word canine, everybody thinks of a dog, okay? Because canine and dog mean the same thing. So mentally,
or a tooth.
yeah, so mentally, beatus and happy or blessed all mean the same thing. They're synonyms. Does that make sense? Hopefully. All right.
It's just
I
thinking
find
the
it's even
language, not
better.
just speaking the language or reading.
Yeah.
it.
I find it's even better if you just don't. You don't translate it.
Yeah,
into
no, that's what
English.
I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Don't translate. Map the words directly onto their conceptual meanings. You know, do not pass English. Do not collect $200. So, yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because if you have to translate each and every word into English, it slows your way down. So, I mean, you have to kind of do that initially. Okay. It's like when you were reading, you first taught reading. You know, you had to, you know, see spot. So you go an S. Well, that's an S sound, and C, you know, and spot. You might go SP spot, you know, and then today, I mean, most people, I would imagine, do what amounts to sight reading. I mean, you recognize the word instantly. You don't sound it out.
Yeah, my mother never learned phonics, and she is incapable of sounding it out.
Well,
She
phonics
learned
are, yeah,
whole
phonics are,
word.
yeah, phonics are good for new words. But if you're actually going to read, you don't, you map directly. You short circuit the need for all the intermediate steps to get there. So,
Yeah, but if we do translate it into English in an awkward fashion and people look at us funny, we can just claim we're native Latin speakers.
well, no, this was my point of the St. Michael translation, is you do need to wordsmith things in order to, if it's going to go, you know, other than for yourself, ideally. I mean, on the spot, it may sound stilted, but that's okay. All right, direct quotations. We have two ways of doing direct quotations. And in English, the speaker's words are quoted with no change. So, puer dixit mea familia, puer dixit mea familia est hic, which means the boy said, perfect, by the way, past tense, my family is here. Okay. Or you can introduce it via quia or quoniam. Puer dixit quia or quoniam mea familia est hic.
When I read that in the book, you just ignore that word is there and just recognize it as it's saying there's a quote coming next.
Yes. Now, okay, let me go to the next reason. Part of the reason for this is Latin had no punctuation originally. And if you go to some of the very old monuments in Rome or Italy with Latin inscriptions, they often don't even have spaces between the words. The more common ones will put dots to separate them out. So lack of punctuation can be a problem, especially in English. You know, the old joke, let's eat, comma, grandma versus let's eat grandma. You know, there's an important distinction there. Latin doesn't have that because you would, if you're going to eat grandma, then you got to put it in the accusative. And if you want her to join you for dinner, then you put it in the nominative.
Yeah, you can't make that.
You can't make that joke very easily in Latin. No, there's other ones you can make, but not that one. So anyway, as I said, it was a device, or if you prefer, fake punctuation, to show that what followed was a quote. Now, today, you generally don't see that. Today, you generally see the punctuation in there, okay? We've had about 500 years of punctuation, roughly, or let's say 400 anyway. So you will see the Nova Vulgata, the new revised Vulgate, puer dixit, and then they don't use the quote mark that English does. They use the double less than greater than. Why? I don't know. But you will see puer dixit mea familia est hic. And sometimes you'll see it with regular modern English pronunciation, mea familia est hic, sometimes this way. So more often than not, you won't see this. Now, some of the very old Vulgates before printing would do this to set off the quote, just to make sure that people reading it understood, hey, it's there. Okay. I have not seen that in any modern texts at all. And to be honest with you, even in most medieval texts, that's the way it appeared. So sometimes when I'm reading that, it's produced some rather amusing results because I went merrily along, not realizing it was a quote. But anyway. But yeah, this is you will run into this in certain older versions of the Vulgate, if you happen to be. I don't recall ever
It's
seeing.
almost like people writing using emojis now. Now, if you make sarcastic, you say something sarcastically, you'll put a happy face with tears falling down, meaning, hey, this is a joke. Whereas if you leave that out, it could be taken literally by
Yes.
people who don't get your sense of humor. And so the introduction of punctuation was the same kind of correction to make it much clearer to the reader exactly what was going on. And
Yeah.
without it, you need these hints.
Yeah. If I get a chance, I will try and show you a biblical text from one of the medieval leaves I have. And it's very handy to have a copy of the old Vulgate in order to know how to punctuate it in modern, using modern punctuation, because it does look like a giant run-on sentence in many cases. So, but yeah, by and large, you're going to see this. And I don't recall using the quia quoniam as a quote anywhere in the liturgy. It may be there, but I just don't remember seeing it. All right, any questions on the ablative of cause or direct quotations? Okay. Anyway, my usual admonitions, read and study units 1 through 10. You will note that I increment that number with every unit we get through. Get the first and second declensions down, get the verb forms down for the present, the imperfect, the future, the active and passive, and the perfect forms, not to mention all the vocabulary. I realize it can be difficult to find time, but we are building, if you wish, a very tall building. And if you don't get the foundation squared away, well, you'll have foundation problems, shall we say. Next time, what I would like you to do is the Unit 11 exercises do not have writing out the tables for the pluperfect and future perfect. So what I'd like you to do is go back to chapter 10 where we wrote those out for the perfect and write them out for the pluperfect and future perfect, just to have a little practice there. And then also the Unit 11 exercises. Now, I will warn you that as time, okay, well, let me show you where I was last week, which is why we had to cancel. There we go. Yeah, here it is. Let me get it up here for a second. Right. Here it is. Okay. All right, let me go over here. New share. There you go. Whoop, no, that's desktop. Sorry. I want that one. There we go. That's where I was last week. That is the Artemis 1 launch vehicle. By the way, that's only about the half of it. There's another half down there. Up there is the Orion spacecraft, which is, and the ESA service module. And that's where I was counting the making sure they put all the thrusters on there that needed to be. And let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, it's a long way down. Oh, here we go. I think here's another one. This was a panoramic view. And then this is a little more of the whole thing. And just to show you that I didn't scarf these off the internet, there I am. So anyway, the difficulty is we are approaching the launch. It is currently scheduled for August 29th at about 7:48 a.m., which I'm not happy about because I have to be there at launch -3. But we will be, NASA will be increasing training and various other things. So I expect that we can make class. Actually, when is the 29th? Is that that's not a Thursday, is it? Oh yeah, that's on Monday. Okay. I expect that we will be able to continue class without too much interference, but like today, we were in a sim where we essentially it's well, you've heard of multiplayer games. Well, this is a massive multiplayer game.
Yeah, I checked. It's on a Monday.
Yeah, the massive multiplayer game. So in this case, we have people out at the Kennedy Space Center there on Cape Canaveral, which is, by the way, where the rocket is. And we had people at various other locations, and we had a set of computers that were simulating the whole thing that we were doing. So I do expect that there is or I should say there's increasingly a chance that we may have to suddenly reschedule class. So just, keep an eye on your email, and I apologize. The flight, if we launch on August 29th, it will be a 40-day mission. This will be one of the longest manned spacecraft missions, and it has to do with the way we orbit around the moon, and we want the Orion.
Will it be
Except
landing on the moon?
It'll be
No,
unmanned,
this one does
right?
not land on the moon. No, this one does not land on the moon. Let me see if I can find.
And it's unmanned, right?
Yes, unmanned. Yeah, this one is just yeah, let's see if we can find an Artemis 1 diagram here. Images. Yeah, here it is. Oh, I like this.
But basically it's testing out all the systems before they put a person in there.
Yeah, well, yes. Oh, it doesn't say I have access. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. Come on now. What do you mean I don't have access to this? Oh, darn it, darn it, darn it. All right, hold on. Let's see if I can find what I want. There we go. There we go. All right, here we
We're
go.
not seeing your screen. We're seeing the homework.
Yep, I know. I
Okay.
have to find it first.
I see your cursor running around like you're actually doing something. And
I am. Let's see. Where is my screen share? There it is. Okay. New share. There we go. And we'll say share. And we don't need this stuff over there. Okay. This is a graphic of the Artemis 1 mission. We will launch. These are various burns and key points along the flight. We'll go about almost all the way around the Earth, and then we will do something called TLI, translunar injection, which will send us on a course to the moon. And we're actually in front of the moon. The moon would go around the Earth this way, by the way. And then we'll do a couple burns. We'll get captured by the moon's gravity. And then we'll go into this big orbit around the moon. And then eventually we will fire again and we'll loop around and we will come back home. And so that's all going to take 40 days and 40 nights. So
It's biblical.
yes,
Where's it
is.
gonna land?
It will land off the coast of California, right about, oh yeah, see 19 there? You see the number 19?
Oh yeah.
That's about where it's going to land. And the reason for this is, in fact, if we do not fly on August 29th, then there's another launch window September 1st, and then there's another launch window September 3rd. They occur roughly 2 days apart. If we can't make any of those and we go later in the month, then it becomes a 28-day mission. And the reason for that is we do not want to land the vehicle the first time in the dark in the Pacific Ocean. So, you know, the Pacific Ocean is a big place. You put a small capsule in the middle of the night, it becomes kind of exciting to see what's going on. So we want to land during the day. And so we end up, due to orbital mechanics and everything, we have to stay out here orbiting for a while until this moon, you know, keep in mind that while we're doing this, the moon is going around the Earth. So we have to wait until the moon is in the right position and the Earth is in the right position to come back. So anyway, so that is the Artemis 1 mission. Yeah, get up early and watch it. Hopefully we'll get it off the 29th. There's everything indicates that we are, well, let me put it this way. There are no known issues that will prevent a launch on the 29th right now. Now, it's possible that as we count down, we run into something because this is a new vehicle. But what the exciting one next time, about a year from now or more, it's maybe a little more, will be Artemis 2. That one will have astronauts on board. They will do a figure 8 around the moon, much like Apollo 8. And then Artemis 3, which is the, which will be about another 2 years after that, will actually land on the moon. And let's see here. Let me look this up. There we go. I have always been amused by the choice of Artemis.
She was goddess of the moon and
Yeah, well, she's also the goddess of fertility. So I
no, that's the meter. Artemis is the goddess of virginity.
No, Artemis of Ephesus.
That is one very weird type of Artemis. It's worshipped only in Ephesus.
I agree, but still, I was always amused. Yes, and folks, those are all breasts on Artemis of Ephesus. So I'm always amused by the choice of Artemis for for the Orion program. But yes, Artemis is the Greek form. Luna is the Latin form, actually. So anyway.
Yeah, I guess the actual moon.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, the goddess, the Roman version is Diana, but
Yep. And the Greek version is Artemis. So anyway. So next time, Unit 11 exercises, write them out. Right now we are meeting next week, bar who knows what. So with that, it is 9 o'clock. So I will mute things and then we will, and by the way, Alex could not make it. He sent me an email. Apparently he has a kidney stone right about now. So my heart bleeds for him.
Oh, boy, do I sympathize.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's do our concluding prayer here. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie. Et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris. Et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. And so with that, we are done. And